Yo guys, it's JJ here, and today I'm going to be walking you through how to make a unique trap beat. Before we get into the video guys, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We have just passed 1.7k subs, on the way to 2k. Support's been going crazy recently and I do really appreciate it. To show some love back, in the description I've got a bunch of free drum kits just for you, so go ahead and grab those. But with all that being said, let's just jump straight into the video. The first thing to know about the beat, we're doing it at 162 BPM and in a scale of C sharp minor because I like these high paced energetic beats. And we are starting off with a nice little plug preset called the Cream Plug from Analog Lab 5. And looking at the pattern, to be honest, it's pretty straightforward and simple. All I do is, if we look down here, I have this nice little C sharp just playing literally every single beat or measure, and then every half measure after it, as you can see, I play with another note and just gives it a nice little cool bounce. So I go with that A, D sharp, we play with the octaves for the C sharp, then we bounce back in with this A, going into a D sharp and then the G sharp and the A. But as you can see, just me playing around with the octaves, giving it a bit of a different pitch, different sound. And then all I do over here is I play off the same pattern pretty much as I did before. However, I just vary it up for this last little like 2-bar. And then as you can see, got a dope little roll with this E and D sharp going. And then all I did was copy and paste this pattern one more time to make it a full 8-bar. And then I clicked Alt R to pull up this randomizer and I played with this little scrolling wheel to randomize the velocity. It gives it a unique sound, makes it sound much more human. And that's why I did that. And without further ado, this is what the main melody sounds like. As for the effects, all I did was get an EQ, ducking some highs and cutting off all my lows. Then I grabbed the Instant of Soothe 2 just to duck all the harsher frequencies. Then I used the Instant of RC20 with the Vinyl 1 preset and the noise turned off just to give it a bit of a vintage sound. Next, I got some Valhalla Vintage Verb just to add a bit of ambience with the preset made here. And last but not least, I started separating this around 20% just to widen it within your headphones. And next up, we got ourselves an Instant of Analog Lab 5, and we're using a preset called the Classic Soft OB Pad, which is obviously from the pad bank. And looking at the pattern guys, first thing I want to note is I am literally just repeating these two notes over and over every single bar, as you can see, but alongside them I have these notes up here and down there where they're just a semitone apart, and this gives it a very nice dark vibe, kind of reinforcing that trap sound that you want. And with all that being said, this is what the pad sounds like. And there we have it, just a nice little background layer. As for the effects, this one was so simple. All I did was get an EQ cutting off all my lows, and I really ducked the highs a lot just to make it more of an ambient sound. And to reinforce the ambience, I used an instance of a Valhalla Vintage Verb with this preset that I made where it's a higher mix just to really drown the sound out. And to further add to this drowned out effect, I started separating this around 60% just to really widen it and make it a background element. And next up, I got myself an instance of Contact 7 using a bank called the Vocalize 3 Gravity 8-pack. And I'm using this preset called the Ooh 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 by Christine. All it is a nice little vocal run that plays along, and all I do is play it at this little C sharp, G sharp and A. Then for some variation, as you can see over here, take it up to the A, into that B, and then down to a G sharp. And that's pretty much it. So this is what the vocal run sounds like. And on this sound too, the effects again are very simple. All I did was get an EQ cutting off my lows and some of the highs. And then a heavy bit of Valhalla Vintage Verb, again to add some ambience, make it sound dark and drowned out. And as for stereo separation, this was only done at 36%, just to widen it a bit within the headphone. And next up, we got ourselves an Instant of Expand 2, one of my favorite plugins, very affordable. And we are using a preset called the Big Section, which comes from the Brass and Woodwinds bank. And the pattern, again, is very straightforward. It's just me now laying down my own root notes. So I obviously started at C sharp, but then I take it up into a G sharp, then an A, and then back into this little F sharp, and it creates a nice kind of like dark but also somewhat emotional vibe. And then I just take this up a whole octave just to cover a range of frequencies, and that's pretty much it. So without further ado, this is what the brass sounds like. As for the effects, it's again a simple EQ duck in the lows and duck into mids. Then they're very light in terms of Valhalla Vintage Verb, just to add some sort of like reverb. And as you can see, I stereo separated this 100% because the thing with the brass is it's so grand that if I make it so wide, it just kind of lifts the whole beat up, and that's exactly what I did. And then for the final component, all I did was get myself a preset from Analog Lab 5 again, known as the Hawk bass. Very nice, deep and growling sounding bass. And as you can see, the pattern's straightforward again, just following the root notes of the brass. So without further ado, this is what the full sample for a unique trap beat sounds like. And there we have it. But before we move on, just note, you might be thinking, why is the mix so simple? Why are the patterns so simple? And the thing with these unique trap beats is it's kind of a balance between simplicity and really good sound selection. Because as you can see, the mix was pretty straightforward, but that is because I picked out some really nice sounds. And before we get into the drums, just note all these drum sounds are from my kit, linked in the description, found on my Instagram, so go grab it. Looking at the first drum pattern, pretty straightforward, a nice little snare that I've got using this nice little future snare, and as you can see, repeat on every third measure. And now moving on to the hi-hats, this is one of the most unique components of the whole beat. It gives it a very nice little bounce, but the way I actually started this off was, I got rid of all this, I went to Magnet Tool, I went to a third beat. If I place a note here, and then copy and paste it, as you can see, I first started off with a nice little kind of like triplet bounce, then with a bit of adjustment, I actually came to this. To break it down is, if we look over at this 4-bar, we have this nice little triplet bounce going, but all I do is change my Magnet Tool onto a 6 beat, as you can see. So we start off with this one at the beginning, get a nice little 6 beat bounce going here. This is just a simple, just, you know, 1/3 beat. Little triplet bounce again, then another little 6 beat again. But actually, if I go back onto the Magnet Tool and go into a 3rd step, this was made with a 3rd step bounce. And this one, again, pretty straightforward, 1/3 beat bounce, 1/3 beat bounce, little 6-step bounce, as you can see, but I play with that velocity. Then a nice little 6 bounce going, and you can see it's pretty straightforward. I've just got a lot of rolls going, unique spots. I've given it a unique bounce and unique sound, as you can see again. Then I just copy and paste it over to make that full kind of 8-bar. And guys, before I play you the sound, just bear in mind, I know the experimentation wasn't the best, but the best way to get better with your hi-hats and to get that unique bounce, just experiment by yourself, play along, see what you can get going. But let's just hear what this hi-hat and this snare sound like. And there we have it, and as you can hear, the bounce was very nice and unique, and that's exactly what we wanted. And as for the next pattern, we're moving on to the 808s. As you can see, I did this pattern again, but it was done in a 6 beat kind of magnetic step. Just starting off with these C sharps down here, then moving up, we have a nice little G sharp, and I create this nice little cool roll for a bit of variation. But then we carry it over, as you can see, to the A, and then down into that F sharp. But to wrap it up, I have this nice little cool roll going on over here. And then for the kick pattern, all I did was copy and paste my 808 pattern over and just kept it all that root note of C to maintain the kick. And then one thing I did to both my kick and my 808s, which I repeat in every video, is I click Control A, highlighting all my notes. I use my mouse, hold that scroller wheel down, and then as you can see, by pushing it all the way to the top, I've maxed out my velocities. And the reason I do this is because it makes your 808s and your kicks much punchier in the mix. It's more appealing to artists, and that's exactly what we want in the end, because we want to push this out and get some placements. But now it's time to hear what this kick and the 808s sound like. And now for the final two components. First of all, we got ourselves a classic open hat, repeats every 4 bar, as you can see, and just hits on that 4th measure of the 1st bar. And then next up, for a slight bit more variation, I got myself this nice little cool zap perk from my kit, repeats every 4 bar as well, and as you can see, it hits on the 4th measure on the 2 bar. So without further ado, this is what a unique trap beat sounds like. But now it's time to move on to the structure of the beat. And to break this down, we're going to start off with the intro, and as you can see, it's just 2 8-bars long. First one having that bass, the brass, and that pluck. But then I introduced that nice little vocal run alongside some of the drums just to drop into the beat. And then looking at the actual chorus itself, we start off with this nice little pad that replaces all the other sounds. And then we've got these essential drums playing alongside the open hat. Now moving into the second leg of the chorus, to amp it up a bit more, we now introduce the brass. We have that nice little zap hit coming in, and it just brings a bit more energy. And looking at the verse section, this composes of 3 8 bars, but the first one is just a pluck by itself, alongside the essential drums but without a kick. Then moving on to the second 8 bar, we now have that pad coming in with the brass, and then I have my kick and that zap hit coming in to add a bit more energy. And then for the final 8 bar, just because it's building up into the chorus, we like to call this the pre-hook, the pre-chorus. And all I do to add some nice dramatic effect is I strip away all the drums and I have this whole sample playing out again alongside that nice bass to really carry the low end. And then all I did was copy and paste my chorus 2 more times, as you can see, but add the vocal mantras and variation on the last one. And then I copy and paste my verse yet again. And there we have it, guys. You made it to the end of the video. Pretty straightforward. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. All the support is deeply appreciated. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.